What's good? This is Elton Anderson Jr., aka Detroit Chopra, and I'm not even gonna front on y'all today. Like, this is a dream guest. This is like the perfect time. This is Taurus season, so I got big Taurus
Yes, it is.
energy up in this place. I love me some Taurus. We're gonna get into the zodiac. We're gonna get into wellness. We're gonna get into friendship, and we're just gonna get into Fran. What's up? So
Yes.
without further ado, I got Miss HeyFranHey herself. What's up?
Hi, Elton. Thank you for having me. This is so like I first met you in New Orleans. I don't know if you remember that.
I
It was like
remember
at a
like the back of my
restaurant.
hand.
Yes, and I was there with Shameless Smile, who's a good friend of the both of us, and I had already known your work. And so it was like really cool to be able to meet you in person. And Maya adores you, always talks you up, and
That is
how
my
she just
girl.
like loves you. So it's nice when your friends love someone and then you get to actually meet them in person. So it's nice that we get to like build on top of that. So I'm
Yeah,
excited to be
yes, it's the cosign. And I mean, the
here.
same for me. I think one of my good friends, he knew you, and as well as you, I think you know Dustin. You familiar with Dustin?
I might know
You might know a little bit
him.
about him. Yeah. And so Dustin
Yeah.
is the homie. So it's just like all these signs. But I gotta say this though, you have, tell me if I'm wrong, you have a very familiar energy. Like when people meet you, I know they feel like they know you their whole life, right?
I mean, I can say that there's a warmth that I think people feel and like a safety, which is really nice because sometimes people who've been following my work online will forget that like I might not know them, you know?
Right,
And
right, right.
so and they come up to me and they'll be like, friend, and I'm just like, yeah, fill me in because this is a one-sided thing as of right now. And they
And it's
forget
yeah,
because they feel so close. But I love that. I love that that's the energy I give off. I think that's super cool.
yeah, no, I know. I can tell you go through that, and it's just like you got this humbleness and this grace about you that it
Thank
don't get
you.
too awkward. But people got to have boundaries. So I totally
I've had to learn those over the years because I'm such a love bug, and sometimes I will overextend. Like if you're having a bad day, you're allowed to have a bad day. And I remember one day I was on the street. I don't even remember what was going on, but I was just having an off day. I think I'd gotten bad news. Someone had passed or something, and I was
Mhm.
crying. And these girls saw me and they were like, no, like Frank can't be crying on the street. They like ran to me, and there was an element of me that was like, hey, like I don't actually know you, like
right.
let me cry. It's okay. So
Yo, that's
it's just it does
love.
get blurred. It does get blurred, but I know everyone means well, so that's why I never take it to heart.
Yo, that is so much love, and it's like even in New York, because you're in New York, right?
Yeah, it's born and raised. Yeah.
You were born and raised New Yorker. Like what? So what's your background? What are you given in the
Hmm.
theology space? What's your ancestry?
Well, yeah, so I was born and raised in Harlem. My mom is Dominican
Mm.
and my father is Puerto Rican and Haitian. So I'm giving you
What?
Hispaniola Caribbean vibes here.
And you giving me like a little bit of griot with the Haitian, little sock passe.
Yes, okay. And
Yes.
to be honest, like my grandfather, who's the Haitian element of our family, he just never really allowed us to know about the culture, which I really feel like
Wow.
I missed out, because I've had to pick up and learn things on my own as an adult. But he kind of kept that very separate from us. I don't know if it was like a battle between, how Dominicans and
Mhm.
Haitians have like a
Yeah.
lot of
Ew.
resistance. And so, yeah, I don't know if that was his way of just like keeping the household easeful or something. But I wish that he had spoken the languages to us, and
It
like
might
let
be
us
like
participate.
a lot of trauma there, right?
I'm guessing, yeah, because even the way him and my grandmother met, they met in the farms, working the
Mm.
fields. My grandmother was from Puerto Rico, but her mother had moved for work because they just had better
Mm.
opportunities in DR. And then him and his family moved from Haiti to the other side of the island to DR to find work. And that's how they met on the fields, you know, as
Wow.
teenagers. Yeah. And so I wonder if that was his coping mechanism. I'm not entirely sure, but we missed out, which is kind of unfortunate because I meet Haitian people now and I'm just like, and I went to Haiti for my birthday and I loved it. Like I felt
Yes.
so at home. It was like, why don't more people explore Haiti and post it, especially the travel bloggers? I felt like I had never even seen people posting about Haiti,
Nobody
to be
posted.
honest.
Like, I went in 2016, and even to this day, I had the best lobster I ever had in Haiti.
Come on, the food
Lit.
is so good. And when I was, you know, what's funny, when I posted pictures of me being, I think I went for my 35th birthday by myself, and
Yes.
met so many awesome people, which is why I love traveling alone, because I feel like you're on your own schedule. If you want to meet people and go with them places and hey, you open to it, and it's easier when
Yes.
you're by yourself. So I was like, yeah, I'm going by myself, I'm not tripping. And literally everyone, when I was posting the pictures, was like, why would you go to Haiti?
They, because
That's
they
the
don't
biggest question I
know.
kept getting. Yeah, like they
Yeah.
were like, of all places in the world, this is where you choose to spend your birthday. I'm like, yeah. And it was amazing. I had a blast.
Dude,
It's
like,
beautiful. It's
no,
my home.
I get that on my side because my mom, she's from Liberia, West Africa. And
Okay.
growing up, when I tell you I was every African booty scratcher that has ever
I
existed,
already know.
you already know I was all of it. And,
I
it
already know.
brought so much shame on me to even, I remember it was when I was younger, like when my mom would speak, I'd be like, oh no, I know they're gonna tease me because she has this accent.
Right.
Does your mom wear
Same,
shoes? Does she
same.
chase monkeys? So I mean, I'm
Oh my
glad that this
God.
new renaissance of people are finally starting to get it.
Yeah, it's very different now. It's
Yeah.
very different now. I feel, and you know, I can only speak from what I'm observing. Obviously, we're not kids in school now, so we don't fully know, but it just seems like there's been more reverence, you know, more
Mhm.
understanding of the diaspora. I think like these younger kids are way smarter than us, way
Oh,
more informed opinions, like more educated opinions. So
they've
they
been
kind
here
of move a
before.
little different. Yeah, I think they move different, which is nice. I'm happy for these. What do they call them? The
The
Gen
Gen
Zs? I don't know what
Zs.
they call them.
Yeah,
The Gen
I don't
Zs.
know.
Yeah.
You born after 2003. I don't even know what to you call me sir. But no, I love how you go solo traveling. I want to touch on that for a second because
Yeah.
I love me some traveling. I used to host a travel show as well.
You're
Um
inspiring. Like I
and
live on your Instagram.
madam, you the one that I am inspired by. But what did solo travel do for you? Like, when did you start solo traveling? Because you're a woman, and there's so many
Mhm.
myths and fears primarily about
Oh, for sure.
solo traveling. Like, when did you get into that?
So I think I caught the bug when I was in college. My junior year of college, I moved to Brazil. You know, you can do the study abroad programs. And so I
Wow.
left for the whole year. My entire junior year, I was in Brazil. And it was life changing to be, I mean, how old was I? 19,
Yo.
20, maybe 2019, and living in another country. I was going to their university because that's the trade, obviously. So I was at,
Mhm.
it's called UFPA, in Bahia. They're like
Like,
main
Bahia
university.
is so
Yeah.
lit. I spent
And
February there.
imagine going to college. Imagine going to college in Bahia. Like, this is next
What?
level experience. I'm in school with the students. They didn't treat me different. It wasn't like, oh, like they were giving me homework, like, hey, you're in school here, you better figure it out. And so I had to have a side tutor to make sure my like Portuguese was proper
Portuguese.
and helping me write
Wow.
and teach. I mean, it was not easy. It was actually pretty rigorous and challenging because I'm coming into a new country, new language, and studying with their students, but I loved it. And after that, like obviously I traveled around a bit in Brazil because I went to see Rio, which was like
Hmm.
a 36-hour bus ride.
Come on,
It was
bus.
intense. Yeah, the bus, because I was a broke college kid.
A three
I packed my stuff in my bag and was
36
like, well,
hour
the bus is
bus.
36 hours. There was chickens on it. The bus driver had us watching Glitter by Mariah Carey when that movie had just dropped.
Oh, that's a little torture, friend.
It was so funny. I was like, oh, this is my life. Like, only this would only happen to me. And so that really set the tone for me. Like, I was like, man, the opportunity to travel and explore and learn languages, like, I just got hooked. And I was not scared. You know, there were scary elements being a woman, of course, the street harassment. I got robbed like twice. I mean, there are things you
Yeah.
deal with, but it didn't trump the trip in any way. I was so like, and
And
after that, you couldn't stop me from
and,
traveling,
and
honestly.
too, you from New York, so it's kind of like at the end of the day, it's like, you know, you from New York, I'm from Detroit. It's like, come on, I've seen scarier
Listen,
things in a bodega, so I ain't even about to sit here and be
if
bothered.
we could survive where we came from, like, we're
Yes,
good anywhere on any block,
it's
literally. So I felt fine. And even the kids, like, you know, there was one kid trying to rob me one day, and I like talked to him because I saw in his face he didn't really want to do it, you know, and
mm,
because he was like, she's a black girl. He just knew that I was American. So he was like, oh, you know, she's gonna have something. And I told him, like, you know, you could have asked me, like, we're homies, you know, you think of America as like we're all coming in, but I'm from the hood too. Like,
yeah.
and we had a whole conversation, and he just was like, I didn't know y'all had hoods. You know, he had no idea.
Mm,
And I was talking to him about, because the funny thing is, I grew up in the projects, right?
really?
So even though I was in Brazil for the year, I was going back home to the projects.
To the
And
favela,
yeah,
like we
our
in the
version of
favelas.
it, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so it was important for me to have that convo with him because he was really blown by that. And he did not know that we had hoods. I was trying to explain to him, like you said, I live in our version of the favela, like, and I told him there's piss and chicken bones, like, and he was just like, what? And we ended up having a life-changing
You
conversation.
just
And every
like
time I saw him after that, he gave me that look like, you're good. Like, don't worry, ain't nobody gonna touch you.
I I love this, Fran. You are so down to earth. Like that is the best
Thank
description
you.
I could say about you. And you know who you kind of look
Taurus.
like? Have you ever heard you look like
Who?
Zazie Beats?
I get Zazie, I get Guapale, I get
Ooh.
Amel LaRue, I get there's a woman that she was in a African show on Netflix,
Oh.
Queen Sonos. I
Oh
don't
yeah, I
know
didn't
if
watch that, but
Pearl Thusi. She's and everyone. I mean, I have like a tribe of people that people say I look like, but
yes,
I can kind of see it.
I get Zazie Beats a lot, but no, I
I can
love
see
how
it.
down to earth you are, and because you're an Earth sign, because you're a Taurus, what do you think is the most Taurus thing about you? What's the most Taurus that you do?
Um, Probably how serious I take my rest. You know, like, as hard as I work, I also make sure that my rest is very boundaried. Like, I'm a
Mm,
workhorse in a lot of ways, but I also am like, if I need to take a nap, it's gonna trump everything else on my schedule. Like,
that nap.
if I feel off, like my, equilibrium, some days you wake up and you're like, I will go back to sleep. Like, I do not play. I sleep for 10 hours a night. And people are
Ooh,
always like, how is that possible? Yeah, I be in bed by 10 if
I
possible. Obviously,
wish.
not every night because sometimes your work might make the day longer. But for the most part, I'm in bed by 10.
That's that.
Like, I'm going to bed.
I'm so jealous of that. I'll get into that later. I can't even deal with it, but I'm so jealous of that. And
Mm,
is that a big part of your wellness? Because when I think of Hey Fran, hey, I think of that brand. Like that's a beautiful brand. It's
yes.
like hey girl, like it's
Thank you.
very hey girl.
That's
Uh,
exactly why I named it that. Yeah.
uh that's y'all need this is peak branding. Like just in that name, you understand. Like welcome, pull up a chair, grab some tea.
It's
How
a
did you get into
greeting. Yeah.
this wellness space? How did you get into like what did it mean for you? And have you been into like all this, I don't know, crystals and chakras from when you was
All
5?
this boo boo.
What's your life about?
um, right. No, honestly, it was definitely not something that was always a part of my life. When I was in my early 20s, actually, when I had come back from Brazil, so, it was kind of hard adjusting to being back in the projects in Harlem. I was like, dang, man, I just came back from a dream of a year, and I started getting really sick too, which was strange. Like my body, I was losing my hair, getting really thin, and I wasn't entirely sure what was going on. I started getting these infections in my kidney. I mean, it was just like my body started deteriorating. Mind you, I'm in my early 20s, so it's like, what's
Yeah.
going on? When I went to the hospital, they couldn't figure out what it was. And I was just sick as a dog. I started building stones in my kidney because of it. Um, and it was like no one was helping me. And so I
Mm.
literally, this is when Tumblr was a thing. Remember, I don't know if you remember if you
I
got
love
into
Tumblr. I,
Tumblr was like the site, okay?
I love Tumblr.
Around
It
like
had
2010, 11,
yes.
that's when it was like at its peak. And we were on there all
It was
day.
so
And
I
that's how my
love the
career
vibe.
started.
Wait,
Everyone posting their images and having conversation and building community, and it was just such a fun place.
it
And
was good.
that's where I started. I just literally started like documenting my health. Like I was like, yeah, I'm going through this thing, I can't figure it out. And then other people were like, me too. And so we were like, well, let's be resources for each other. And people would give me advice and I would try stuff and I would give other people advice. And then it turned into like a community of like wellness
Mm,
resources. And then I was like, this is pretty cool. Before you knew it, my Tumblr had like hundreds of thousands of followers of people who didn't have access to healthcare. And I made it very
awesome.
clear, I'm not a doctor. This is a community. Like you're liable for whatever you try. I'm just here to be like the conduit, or hold the
Mm-hmm.
container. Like that's it. And it just turned into this thing. And then I started actually like learning so much about the human body and the holistic approach to life. Like, how is my mental health, the people around me, my diet, my fitness. And I became so obsessed with it because I started feeling better. And
Yeah.
I realized, I just hadn't been present. I hadn't been like present. I had kind of been on autopilot. You're in college, you go to work, you go party, you go home to sleep, and there was just like not much more going on internally.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost like I woke up, if that makes sense. Like
No,
the illness kind of like woke me up.
oh, it makes all
Suddenly
the
I was looking
sense.
around like I exist. Like it's just like life just opened up. And then I started talking about these feelings and changes and this shift in my life online, and people were just like, yo, I'm going through this too. Is it like a consciousness, like a crack in my consciousness? From that, I took it to YouTube. From that, YouTube did extremely well. I took it to podcasting. From podcasting, I started touring with the show with my wellness practitioners who are well versed in these worlds, and I kind of could pull them in. And we toured for years with all these Black practitioners. I was just giving them my platform, like, do what you do. I was just blessed to have the money to be able to put
Wow.
them on. And that's just been HeyFranHey ever since. Like totally off of an illness, which is crazy to think about.
Wow. That
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting a little goosebumpy because that just resonates. Nah, because like Fran, like when you talk about that awakening, when you talk about that cracked open
That
consciousness,
crack open.
when I tell you like my story, because I was never on none of this stuff in 2019. Like wellness, I was like,
Mm.
what is these people talking about? Like, what are y'all even talking about? I was like, shut up, pass me a blunt. And so when 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 my awakening started happening, it came out of nowhere. Like I just wanted to give everything away. I was at the height of my
Listen,
career as a photographer and a host, and I just wanted to just release myself from everything. And I was like, what is going on? And
from all those identities.
can we talk about it? Because we'll get there. Because yes, and it was like it felt like a death. And I got to the point where I ended up getting malaria. Like so, like my
Oh,
awakening
shoot.
started. Yeah, my awakening started April. We filmed our last
Mm.
episode in Ghana, and after Ghana, I said I'm leaving America and I'm gonna go to Brazil. And in Brazil, my first 8 days, the malaria that I had got in Ghana manifested. I was
Oh my goodness.
yeah, I was like dead, and I was like, I was already starting my awakening. Why are you trying to kill me, universe? Like what?
Right. How much deeper we gonna go?
Like I already listened to what you told me to do. So, but
I'm
it
telling you.
it was this point where it was like, no, you have to like die. And it wasn't, I didn't physically die, thank God, but it was a point where that Elton had to die.
That version.
He was
Yep.
done. He
Yeah.
was done. He was like, I
Yep.
did all you could do. I gave
I
you,
got you here. Yeah. I
I got
got
you
you
all that
this
stuff you
far.
thought you wanted, that you thought you
Right.
wanted. And you need to do some more fulfilling. So I loved your story because I didn't know that's exactly how it started. That is
Yeah. Cause
that is
with
like powerful.
spirituality and wellness, people, all of my practitioner friends and people who are like heavy in that world, they all had a consciousness crack in like either it was an illness or some type of grief that was so
Mhm.
catalyzing that it just like changed their being, like every fiber of their being. And it's always something like you said, where it's like you literally die because it's so heavy and
Yeah.
intense. And when I was sick, not knowing what was going on, feeling so powerless and like having to surrender to
Mm.
the experience of it, because it was like no one could help me. The authorities that I was looking to, that they're supposed to fix everything, they didn't even have the answers. And that was really scary for me. And I was on heavy medications. I mean, they had me on morphine for the pain. They had me on
Damn.
Vicodin and Percocets, okay, which people
Come on.
get lit off of. So, I was my year. I was just like in the
That
house,
sound like a
like
future. That sound like a future mixtape. My boy, wait, no,
I
Fran,
was at the house just floating.
no, wait, Fran, my homeboy said Future make emo music for toxic niggas. And I was like, that is exactly.
That's exactly the people I personally know that love him fit the trait very well.
Emo toxic ass niggas he is their
That's what
king.
it is. But it was like, it was so bad. And even though I remember this doctor, he wouldn't look me in my face, and he was like, you just need surgery, we need to put a catheter in you. And I looked at him and I
Like
said,
in your 20s?
in my early 20s, he was just suggesting a catheter. And I said to him, but you don't even know it's wrong. So why is that your go-to? And he was like, well, I just feel that will help. And I was just like, I remember panicking because I thought, this is going to change the trajectory of my life if I have this in me at the age of like 20. Like, and
Mm.
I remember I told my mom, I'm not having that surgery. And my mom, this is actually really important for me because I think it was the first time that I realized my own power, like over myself. Because you look
Yeah.
to authority, your parents, a doctor, you're
Mm.
going to listen. And I remember telling her, I'm not doing it. And she was like, what? She was like, ain't nobody asked you permission. Like, if the doctor said it, it's what it is. And I was like, no, I'm not sorry. I
Mm.
was like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
get a juicer. And she looked at me like I was nuts. And
Like
I
you
got a
don't play
juicer
games.
instead. Yeah, like she was like, I don't have time for this, And I got a juicer and started juicing. I was running Central Park 6 miles. Central Park is 6 miles around. I
Yeah.
started building my strength up to be able to run the whole park, and it became an obsession. Like I'm gonna be able to run this whole park. And I made that my wellness plan. Like I was like, this is gonna be what I do. I'm not getting a catheter. Like I'm changing my diet. I'm gonna start running. And listen, this is where Hey Friend Hey, it was like the rebirth of that version of me got me
Mm.
that far. And then Hey Friend Hey, this like higher self persona like pulled me out of that, and
Oh.
helped me in a lot of ways. And so it's someone I created, but I needed that. I needed that creation to actually get me to the next level of my life.
Fran, get off my podcast because I'm not playing with you. That is the literal. Why do you think this is called Detroit Chopra? That is it is
See?
it is like my Sasha Fierce. Like Beyonce needed to create
And you
Sasha.
needed Sasha to be like, come here, like we're moving on.
Yo, you play too much in my face because that is exactly it. I love that. And so with that, with having this, I just found out this term and I saw you talk about it a lot, and I love the idea of it. It's called a heart-centered business. And
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
I love it's like I just like,
Yes.
ooh, it feel like you laying on a bosom. Like, just come on into my bosom. Come on.
That's what I wanted to feel like.
Come and lay on these mammy titties.
Yeah.
And I love I love that idea. This is the funny thing though, because think about it like this. So I have a friend, she's a Taurus too, and
Hey.
she's a tarot reader. She's powerful, she's dope. And she was telling me all about our sign. So I'm a Pisces. And she
Oh,
was
I
saying,
love
yes,
Pisces.
she said that we are like the
We're
like
like soulmates.
soulmates. Like Pisces and Taurus are literally soulmates. And she said the funny part is that Taurus is a masculine sign and
Yes.
Pisces is a feminine sign, and I'm a guy and you're a girl, but we're like like we're both in our
We
masculine and our
represent,
feminine.
yeah, the
And
spectrum, which is what I love.
and so she was like, yeah, because you're a earthy earth and I'm a watery water, and it just like flows. And I think that that dynamic is, I see so much. That's why I'm so excited about this, because you're there for so many women. And
Yes.
now I'm like, fuck, I got to be that for so many men too.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
it's,
And when I
it,
was doing my tours, that was the biggest question I got. Like, men would feel left out, and they'd be like,
yeah,
well, where's the man version of you that could like create tours for us? And I'm like, I wish I could tell you, like some one of y'all need to step up.
that's
To
what,
tell you.
but that is what was like, this whole experience has been like, because I always talk about with manifestation, right? And
Mm-hmm.
the real idea around manifestation is that someone is manifesting you. So
Mm,
all the people that needed you to be, hey Fran, hey, in a way they needed you to go through that pain to be able to open
right.
up crack your heart open, to be open there for so many
For
people.
the collective.
And
Yes.
now I'm going through the same damn thing. I was like, oh shit, I needed to be cracked open to be there. So I just wanted to give you that message, because it's like,
I receive
it
it.
means so much to see like my my twin in this, in a sense. And it gives me like a template of like, okay, let me keep
Yeah,
opening
like
up your heart.
a possible trajectory. Yeah, which is
Mhm.
really, and it wasn't, it had, obviously it's challenging because the people around you are just like, what is going on? Like everyone was like, oh, Fran is on this shit now. So it was, not everyone was very welcoming of the new version of Fran, and the
Yeah,
version that I had stepped into was very foreign for,
yeah.
especially, my family. They're just kind of like, oh, this is white people shit.
It is white, it is the whitest people shit.
you
And
know
yeah, and it is I think that was the other hardest part. Like after you lose yourself, it is losing friends. And I want
Yeah.
to talk to you about like friendship, because
Hmm.
I literally lost my four closest friends during this time. That was probably
Oh
worse than the
man.
damn malaria. And
Sure.
I know you host the friend zone.
Yes.
So you're all about friendships. And then even Maya, like I just love your friendship with each other. I met you two
That's my
together.
whole heart. Yeah.
I met you two together, and she's a Taurus too, which is insane. What is like, what do you think, honestly, like with the friendship thing? Like, how important is that in terms of wellness and self care? And like, what kind of friends should everybody have? And what kind of friends should everybody like ignore? Like, keep them bitches out your life.
Right. Like cut them off. I mean, honestly, I've noticed the deeper I've gotten into like my spiritual practices and what wellness actually is, not like the
Mm.
consumer wellness that we've built businesses around, like, here, buy this. This is how you fix this. But the real wellness, like auditing yourself and being like, how do I feel? What do I need? And I've noticed that like I need community. And for a
Mm.
long time, I didn't think I did. I've been a lone wolf and was cool with that. Like, oh, I move how I move. if I need to get something done, it's gonna get done. I have to do it. Like just that mentality of just being like an alpha, just at like bulldozing through everything, and now I'm like softening up as a person. I'm getting older and I'm realizing how much I actually need people. And that's
Mm.
okay to need people. Like I don't need to go through life by myself. And it's been so fruitful the times that I have collaborated. Like Miriam Hasnea,
Oh
that's
yes.
one of my best friends, and
Wow.
me and her have been friends before all this internet stuff. And she was
Mm.
just this beautiful fairy of a person who just had all these concepts and theories and was not really messing with the internet like that. And then I was like, would you go on tour with me? And she was like, what? No. She was like, I for what? Like, she didn't need that. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, I want to plant the seed. If you ever interested in turning the practitioner work and kind of anchoring it down into earth with people, let me know. And she was like, I'll think about it, came back around and was like, you know what? Let's do it. Like I'm
I love
curious to
that.
see what this will open up. And now she's a monstrosity
She
of a
is a
brand
movement.
online
Yeah.
because that's what she just that powerful. But I wouldn't have been able to do the tour without her. Like
Yeah.
it just wouldn't have been possible. And my other friend Jara, who was like the shaker and the mover of the group, and so it was like all of the working parts. And even with the friend zone, like I bring the foundation, but Dustin, without him it wouldn't work. Like it just
Yeah.
wouldn't work. He's the comedic relief. He's the one that lightens the room up as I anchor down heavier theories. Like we work well. And I think that's what I'm learning. Like everything I've done that has been fruitful has been in collaboration with people I love.
I
And
love
just knowing, like, not being afraid to ask for help, not being afraid to like not try to do everything myself. So friendships and community have been a big part of my wellness, I'd say, in the past couple of years for sure. So for me, in your question of what should you look for, it's just like a sweetness. I can't explain it. It's like
yeah.
like we really love each other and I feel seen, I feel safe, supported. I know everyone, especially with COVID, is going through a lot. So that reciprocity and support is going to waver based on what people are going through. And like us
Yeah.
all knowing that like nothing on a foundational level has shifted. Like we love each other, but everyone also gives each other space to be in whatever
Yes.
iteration or whatever that looks like, and doesn't miss a beat when you guys come back around each other. And to me, that's what like it feels like. It feels flexible, it feels
Yeah.
watery, it feels soft and loving, but also spacious and just all those things, if that makes sense.
No, it makes so much sense. It's so beautiful. And having lost four closest friends in such
Man,
a
that's tough.
it was that shit was traumatic. Like I did a whole
Yeah.
video. I did not a video. I did a whole podcast about it called Forgiveness is Not Enough. And what
Mm,
I had the ultimate point I got to is that I had to go beyond forgiveness. I had to go to gratitude and I had to thank them
mm,
for releasing me because now it helped me create Detroit Chopra and helped me find myself.
right,
And I love and the new friends I have now because I have deep like I've only been in Bali like a year and the deepness of these friendships it blows my mind and I'm
right.
like I got white friends now. I ain't never had no white friends. I got Korean friends. I got friends from Ukraine. I'm like, what the hell? Who
I
is
love
this? And it's just been so beautiful because I look at friendship and I see you look at friendship in kind of like the same way. Like you have friends that like push you, which is great. Like, oh, they push you to be your best.
yeah.
But what I love even more is a friend that pulls you. Like you pulled your
Hmm.
friends onto that stage with you. You pulled your friends onto the podcast
Yes.
with you because you
We're
knew
an
that
ecosystem.
stage wouldn't mean nothing. That platform, that podcast wouldn't be nothing without them. That is love to me. That is real love.
Real love. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And the way we've looked out for each other, because even, you know, with Miriam, like the fact that she was such a crucial piece of the tour. And then anytime she has any opportunities, like now she has an incredible school with like hundreds of students, she brings me on, to teach classes once a year. And it's like, so it's an ecosystem now. It's like,
Yes.
with whatever way we can look out for each other, it's gonna happen. Whether it's she hears of an opportunity, she's like, friend, da da da, and then vice versa. And I just love that. I think that that's what feels really loving, especially because with Taurus, I'm big on safety, stability. Like I need to feel
Yeah.
grounded. And so my friendships, when they feel that way, like they're contributing to those needs, I'm like set. Like that's really all I look for
I love
these
it.
days.
Y'all like the
Yeah.
Avengers. Y'all like the Avengers of wellness. Like, like they got
Yes,
Thor,
literally.
motherfucking Iron Man, you Iron Man,
Exactly how it feels.
and then Mary is like Thor. And
Yeah.
you gotta have a Hulk.
It's true. It's like we all play different roles, but we come together and just like help each other out, and that's what I love the most. We're not in each other's lanes in any way, but still look out, and it's so cool. Like I'm so thankful. I feel like I've been very blessed in the friend department, and the ones that have lost or shifted. Like you said, it's like it's no different than winter. The leaves have to fall off, so the new ones can come in the spring. And like that's just the way of the world. It's no different in nature than it is in our own lives. So
yeah, it's just not.
I just make space for it.
It's just getting there. And speaking of space, so I don't know if we can say this, but you moving.
I'm moving.
What's that about? Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's fair game to talk about your exit from New York. So let me be honest.
Yes.
When I think of Portland, because I love Portland. I love
Mm-hmm.
Oregon, Portland, all that. But when I think about Portland, I think like the Wild Wild West, like you doing shrooms. I'm gonna pop me some acid. I'm gonna go ahead and get me some weed. Let me get 4 edibles. Like I just think of
Yes.
literally
Every
like
drug, every
drugs.
drug is legal in
Every drug.
Portland. Like everything's legal. Well, Oregon, yes. Every drug, every like crack is legal. Like anything is legal. That's
Crack
the kind of place
is
I'm.
legal. You literally cannot go to jail for crack in Oregon. You
Like we
girl,
were just joking. Like imagine me passing my neighbors and they're on the porch just casually cracking, and I'm just like, "Good morning," with my dog.
a casual cracking. What is like? Tell me about this move to freaking Oregon. Like this sounds more foreign than Brazil.
It is honestly, and there's an element of my brain that's like, girl, what are you doing? But I think that I have a toxic relationship with New York.
Oh,
There's that, what it is?
mm-hmm.
It feels like that boyfriend that you're like, that you secretly feel like, will I ever do better than him? You know what I like, is this the best I can do? Because I have this thing with New York where I just feel it's the best place in the world. And it's like it is, but it's like, but there's more. And so Oregon feels so foreign that I like it. Because it's like, this is strange for me. And there's elements of Oregon that I'm gonna have to recreate myself. And I'm hoping to bring culture to Oregon. Like in a way, it's like a gentrification in the reverse,
Ooh, I like
where
that.
I'm like, because I think Black people need to be in nature. We need nature, and we have
Yes.
been pushed off into like cities and corralled like cattle to live in certain zones. And it's like, what if we decide where we can go? And so I want to move to Portland and open up like a Black cafe, a Black shop that is that like, because we mentioned Black businesses on the Friend Zone every week. What if I had a brick and mortar where those Black businesses are in, and people in Portland, since they're all Black Lives Matter, literally every window you pass, Black Lives Matter, back. Like, okay, so put your money where your mouth is and put money into the pockets of these creatives. So I want to bring that feeling. I hope to get, when I'm hiking and camping and kayaking, I hope it inspires people to consider Portland. Like, well, they'll probably be like, I never would have moved there. That's so random. Let me go check it out. And then suddenly Black people are moving to Portland. Like when Maya and I went to Iceland, People were like, why the
Epic.
hell are y'all in Iceland? And I
Epic.
remember when we were picking the country, I said, let's do Iceland. I feel like that's so random. And she was like, you know what? Let's do it. Fuck it. And so we went, and it ended up being epic because all these Black girls that were like, I would never have bought a ticket to Iceland. We're now at the Blue Lagoon living their best lives with their homegirls, you know, braids up in a bun with the blue water. Like,
Yes.
to me, that's what I want us to keep exploring. And so, like, I think that that's going to be a fun project. That's how I'm perceiving it. I'm going also to rest. Like, my nervous system needs some rest. I want some trees and nature. I don't want to
Yes.
hear car alarms or sirens, all the sounds that New York offers. I'm looking forward to just hearing birds and seeing trees and smelling fresher air and eating farm fresh food because there's so many
Yes.
farmers. The food is so good. So it's a lot of reasons, but I'm mainly excited to try to carve out a space for our people when I get there.
That
That's
is
the goal, honestly.
that is such, yo, that is so beautiful. That is such, I want everybody listening to really peep that. Like, that is what honestly an abundance mindset sounds like. Because you
Mm-hmm.
literally saw this as, you took what your calling is telling you to go to Portland, and you don't, we get to a point where we stop arguing with that call. And if you say,
Oh
if
yeah,
if your higher
it's a
self say go to
nudge.
Oregon, you like, okay, just can
To
I get a couple
Oregon I
weeks?
go.
Like, can I just get it? Like, I don't argue with my higher self no more. When my higher self says go somewhere, I'm like, all right, just let me get like 2 weeks, fam. I'm gonna go.
Right,
And
let me just get settled into this, and that's why I'm like, I'm going. It sounds crazy, it feels crazy, it looks crazy. There are
mhm,
people that are like, why Portland? And I'm like, I
it
wish I
make
could
all the
tell
sense.
you.
It
I
make
wish I could tell you. And right now it doesn't make sense, but I also know that I've built a career off of things not making sense. What is YouTube and podcasting and everything I've built? There was none of that. I was just following the nudges. Like Miriam says, follow the breadcrumbs. Because she's like,
yes,
spirit just leaves breadcrumbs and you follow them or you don't. And I've been following them and it literally has never led me wrong. Like the
yes.
challenge is just to like blindly listen, you know, and I've been doing it. And this is like, and what's the worst that could happen? Like if it sucks, then I come back
You
or
come
I
back.
go somewhere else. LA's right there. Like I'm not really, this is exciting, you know,
This
to be 39 and still be like recreating myself and taking off identities that no longer fit or that I'm bored with. And like I'm trying a new one, you know, and this is a new one. This is a new version that I'm excited to step into.
That is, oh man, I love it so much. It's just because I that's and that's what I want. I want people to hear your mindset behind this, because so many people are just trapped by
Yes,
things, and trapped by
by circumstance.
circumstances, and trapped by identities, because the circumstance
Mm-hmm.
could be
Mm-hmm.
you making $300,000-$400,000 living in a city that you don't vibe with, working a job that is killing you on the low, and you are so attached to them bills
That life.
and them
Yeah.
Chanel bags and those whatevers, and you're missing out on a whole other idea of abundance. Like, abundance is
A
literally
whole.
looking at what earth is natural, and you're just seeing like, oh, I'm gonna be kayaking on Tuesday and bitches is gonna love it. Bitches gonna be like, well, bitch, I want to kayak on Tuesday.
You know,
I
and
want
I
to hike.
love that. Yeah, because there's
And
so
you,
many people that forget they have permission. They have permission to be like, I want that life and I can have that life. Like someone said to me, you're so lucky. And I said, what do you think I'm lucky about? She was like, that you can do that. I said, well, why can't you do that?
yo, Fran,
We can do that.
I literally get mad. I literally get mad. On, not mad, but I just kind of roll my eyes when people always be like, oh, must be nice. Because I had put this post up about surrender, and this girl was like, it must be nice to surrender in Bali. I'm like, do you know how much I had to lose? Wait, hold on. Do you know how much I had to let
Right.
go to be here in Bali?
Right.
Talk about is
Right.
nice.
We're not like these, like, you know, kids that have just been wealthy our whole lives and are just blowing money traveling the world. Like we really have had to crack into ourselves in so many
Yes.
ways to even be able to remember that we can live like this, you know,
Yes.
like I'm shedding a massive identity. Like, you know, I have my super cute crib in New York City that I busted my butt to be able to live
Mm-hmm.
in as a New York City kid, you know, from the projects. I tell people I just got out of the projects at the age of like 26. So it's just a little over a decade that I've
Yeah.
gone from that life to this life. And like that's a lot of work. That's a lot of inner work that I
Yeah.
had to like push through, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and identities and taking them off and trying them on. And like you said, a lot of us get stuck in this identity we've created. Cause yeah, I was like, I'm just like, you know, CEO lives in New York in like a sexy apartment that has an elevator entrance, and
Mm-hmm.
that sounds so good and it looks so good when people come over like, girl, this is how you live in. I'm like, yes, you know.
Get into this.
And now I'm gonna be in Oregon, and no one is excited about that.
I am. I'm gonna be right
That
there.
doesn't look sexy. It don't sound sexy, you know, but I'm excited about it.
Let me show you. Let me show you my Birkenstocks because I
Yeah,
went from Gators to Birkenstocks. Fran, when I tell you I be on my Birkenstock
this
game
is so funny.
out here, like a nigga like me ain't never wore a Birkenstock, and it feels woo the happiness,
Free.
the freeness. My toes be wiggling. I just be like, this is all I need. And I just love like it's like that cracking, like you said, the cracking and the releasing and the taking off the mask. It just shows so much abundance. And you want to know, you want to remember, this is how I know you're an abundant person too, is because I had just posted something about crypto. My homeboy made me, he was like, Elton, you gotta buy crypto, because I had been in stock.
Yes.
And I posted something about crypto, and you was like, what's up? I've been on this for such and such. Like, let's go. Let's
I
get on this
slid it.
crypto.
I slid in those DMs so quick.
You
I was
slid
like,
him.
so let's
She
talk about
slid in
this.
my DM so quick, y'all. And I was like, this is my type of chick. Like, you see it.
Mhm.
And I want to talk about crypto for a quick second. My homeboy,
Yeah.
my homeboy said this to me today. And I was like, boom. It just like it blew my mind. And it was so simple. He was like, Elton, he was like, you know, we talk about all these like crazy meme coins and they call them shit coins a lot of times
Hmm.
coming up. He was like, Elton, he was like, the US dollar is the biggest shit coin. The US dollar is
Wow.
going down as we speak and everything else is
Right.
going up. So you want to shade Dogecoin, you want to shade Bitcoin. They're the only things that are
Right.
going up. He said that. I was like, bitch.
It's no different than what we've been saying, holding on to these identities. Like this shouldn't even what it is no more, you know? And
It's
crypto
not.
for me, when I first heard about it in 2016.
You've been
And I kept
on.
seeing people talking, yeah, the Bitcoin, Bitcoin. I was like, what is Bitcoin? Like, I just was like, what is this thing? So I look it up, was completely fascinated by the story of how it was created and this Jesus-like figure that no one knows. Like, it's just like, what is going on? How deeply people believed in it. It felt cultish. So
Yeah.
I was kind of like, I don't know, but I observed it, and then something told me like you should maybe invest. Like, what's the harm if this may be the
Mm,
future? You've seen how technology is changing everything. There was a point where there was no such thing as credit cards and people
yeah.
were scared, what is this plastic card? And then now it's just the norm, so you have to just be willing to change with the times. And something in that gut, that same nudge, said
Hmm.
buy one, just buy one. At the time it was like 3K. And I was
Wow.
like, okay, yeah. And I was like, and I remember talking to Maya and I said, do you think I'm crazy if I buy a Bitcoin? And she was like, absolutely. What the hell is a Bitcoin? And
You
I was like,
bought
in
Bitcoin
2000.
at $3,000.
I'm telling you, when I tell you those nudges,
Yo.
because I bought Ethereum and Bitcoin. Something told me stock up on Ethereum and Bitcoin. So I didn't have that much money to begin with, but something said, just do it. Cool. I do it. Those are the only two I messed with. And then a third coin called Neo that was like a coin from China.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the three I messed with, and I just like let them chill. They were coming up and dropping. It was scary, very volatile. It went to
Yeah.
20,000, and it dropped to 6, and then went to 3, and I was like, "Oh my god, what have I gotten myself into?" But now it's at $58,000, and
58,000.
Ethereum is at 3,500 each coin.
Yes.
And when I
Yes.
got in, it was $75.
Y'all, let me tell let me tell
And these
y'all
are
something about.
life-changing things. And we did an episode on the friend zone. I got one of the crypto kids that was like
Mm,
schooling me, who I found on Twitter. I literally typed in crypto and then I picked whatever Black person was talking about it. And
yeah.
I hit him and I said, let's be friends. And he was like, okay. And I
Yo.
brought him on friend zone. He broke down everything about it. A lot of our listeners invested as well in the time, because at that time I think it was at 6K. And now people have hit me like, you changed my
I
life
love
with that
this.
information. Like my retirement money, is nowhere near this Bitcoin
Yeah.
growth. And they're seeing returns that they wouldn't have been able to get in a traditional money
Yeah.
world. You know what I mean? So I was just
Yeah.
like, man, this is crazy. Like crypto has been eye-opening to me. Eye-opening to me.
It is such a, because I was so resistant to it, and because I had made a good amount of money in stocks
Same.
last year, like I made like 150K in stocks. So I'm
Mm,
like, hey, you
come
ain't about to
on.
tell me nothing. Y'all ain't about to argue with
Right.
me. And my homeboy showed me how to do the crypto to the point where I bought my first like coins in March of this year. So I bought like Ethereum, I
Mm-hmm.
bought Cardano and a couple other ones.
All
And
the good ones.
since then I made $25,000 in like a couple of weeks, in a couple of like not even 2 months. And I'm like, okay, this shit is a
This
game.
is crazy.
It's
Yes. And it's
a
a risk.
game.
Like I tell people, definitely don't put in money that you aren't willing to lose, because it is a risk. It's a very
But you ain't
volatile
gonna lose.
system.
This shit is going up. This shit is going to the
I
moon.
mean, I personally, you have to like tell people like just
Disclaimers.
understand what you're doing, disclaimers exactly. But I really feel that Black people need to be in crypto, because it's like a redistribution of wealth, and it's finally the regular person's time to make money that they probably would not have seen in their lifetime. And I try to explain this to people, but I also know it sounds very cultish, so I never want to be pushy, but it's also like, y'all just get in, even if it's $20, even if you just put $100 in, just learn how to transfer the cryptos from different exchanges, just learn the tech behind it. It's just something that I feel this is a huge opportunity. And the fact that Bitcoin was born from the 2008 recession, where the people
Mm-hmm.
were just tired of their money being controlled by the government and they wanted to decentralize it. Like this
Yes.
is a really powerful story
It's
to
for the
me. And I think
people.
that it's for the people. And I think it's like, we need to latch on. Like, that's why I've been trying to like the gospel of Bitcoin. I'm just like,
Yes.
listen to it, folks, because it's changing shit. Like it changed my trajectory. My accountant laughed because we were talking about crypto, and he was talking to me like about my retirement plans and stuff. And I was like, oh, my crypto is my retirement plan. Like I'm not tripping. He was like,
You
oh Lord. Like,
good.
that made him feel like, no, please do not say that. But I'm like, it's true.
It's literally
I'm
facts.
seeing
Like
more money.
it's
It's
it's it
true.
is
This is my retirement plan.
I love that. I just love, like, this is what I'm talking about. Like this is wellness too. This is financial wellness.
For
And
sure.
we're
Yeah.
talking about wellness, and I really, when you said that this is the shift, like my friend, he related it to, he said, if this is like the internet, this is when the CDs are being mailed to your house. You remember when they used to ship the AOL CD?
Right.
This is the
Yes.
period. So it's not like, because people are like, oh no, such went up all this much. It's still literally not too late. Like
It's not. I try to tell
it's
people,
just getting
get
started.
in. And you
It's
don't need to buy a whole coin, because a lot of people are like, I can't afford it. No one's telling you to buy a $58,000 coin.
nobody.
Like no one is telling you to do that. But if you can buy a portion of it and just let it sit, and Like there's so many day-to-day people I'm seeing on Twitter that are becoming millionaires off of this stuff.
Oh, that's us too. That's us. We're
Yeah,
gonna be right
right. Like
there.
we're on the
This a
way
hot
because
crypto summer.
because we're taking the leap. It's like, it's always a risk because it's a new concept, but like I'm in. I'm with the
Yeah.
future. I'm with the shits. I'm like, I'm in. I'm gonna take the risk, and I'm seeing the return on that risk, and I'm here for it. It's been awesome. I'd be on my Coinbase account more than I'm on my Robinhood account.
Oh, right. I don't even be looking at Instagram no more. I'd be like, what's this Kraken talking about? What's this Binance? Let me see what that be. You talk about a double tap. I'm a double tap this motherfucking coins. That's what I'm double tapping. Okay.
My priorities have shifted.
Yes, big time. No, oh man, this is just my favorite conversation ever. We're wrapping it up because I try to keep
This
these
is so good.
episodes like an hour. I mean, okay, I guess
Mm-hmm.
since we got lives and we gotta go.
Right.
But so this is just so good. I want people to get this message. I'm gonna have to chop this up and share it with the world. But so we're just gonna end it on like a little chill note. And so since we're talking about friends, I got a random question. I saw it on another guy's interview channel. I was like, I want to ask Fran this. So speaking of friends, if you could have 3 friends, dead or alive, famous people that you could be friends with at dinner and have a dinner, had a good friend dinner, and it's just like, y'all, them is your people. Who are the 3 people, dead or alive, that you would choose?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so the first one for sure is gonna be, I love Osho.
Oh, what you know about Osho? What you, Fran?
Now he's
we're friends.
Very troubled.
We're friends.
He's very, he's viewed as like a rebel mystic, and there's something about the duality. Like when I was watching the Wild Wild West documentary, and people were like, how could he know all this about the world and spirit, but then we still want like Bentleys and Rolls Royces, and how he was like iced out, and he just still wanted the best of the world had to offer, and I felt very like it resonated.
Yes.
Like I think I like that he kind of broke through what people think a spiritual person needs to look like and be like and what they need to do, and he was always very like, I'm gonna crack all those things, and there are elements of him that were problematic, but I love that too, because it's like it was just a very
authentic,
relatable, authentic. He wasn't trying to paint something he wasn't. He was just like, I'm gonna flex on you because I can. And I think that's so cool, and I loved him in all he was, all versions of him. And so I think he's someone that I just would love to pick his brain. I don't know, Osho, who else? Like, who are my other 2 people that I love?
Osho is a good, that's
sad because I feel like he's enough for me.
Yeah, let's just say 2 more. You give me a little chick you fuck with it.
I'll give you, you know what? I've always had a love for Frida Kahlo too. And it's weird picking her because she's become such a like pop culture figure.
Yeah.
You see her on pillows and like tapestries for people's walls and on
she's
tea
a costume.
mugs. Like,
she's a costume for Halloween.
Yeah, she's a costume. So I think it's real easy for people to just take her as a pop culture icon. But when I've read about her life and watched her movie and just different books I've read, I resonate so strongly with a lot of her fears and just her lens on life. There was something really sad about her. She went through so much in her life and just kind of felt like she never really got a break. And even though this success came and the world was seeing her for her work and her art, she realized that like wasn't it. Like the real love and validation that she needed was like needed to come from within. And she realized that later, and it just was like, oh, we fight so hard to get to be famous and all these things, and like that's really not it. And there's that quote that Jim Carrey says where he's like, I wish everyone could be famous so that they could realize that this shit ain't it.
It's
If
not
everyone
it.
could be
Yes.
famous for one day, and just the reckoning that she had to come to terms with on so many levels, with romance and love and self-esteem and art and just your experience in the world. Something about that resonated so much with me. So
I
she's
love,
another one that I would
I
pick for
love that.
sure.
So who's number three?
So
Little
those are my
Boosie?
two. Yeah.
Little Boosie is number three?
Right. I'm like, let me throw in someone random. Who's
Well, those two, I think those two are more than enough. I love that. I think that's a good
right? Imagine the
segue
combo.
into your psyche. I love that. I love that.
Mm.
This is so
Yeah.
well. This is like the most full episode I've ever had. Like I feel full. I feel like I just ate
Ah.
a buffet. I feel like I went to Golden Corral and just had a buffet. I feel like so filled. And I hope that everybody listening to this feels the same way. Cause this is like, I love this vibe. Like I kind of
It
wanted to
was
go in
so good.
conversation, not really studying you. You know what I'm saying? Like I try to do my research,
Right.
but I want to know you through this
Right.
conversation.
In
I
the
didn't want to be
present.
like, oh,
Yeah.
Tuesday you went and had a turkey sandwich. How was that? No.
Right.
And I
Right.
feel like I know
The
you
job was done.
a
Yeah.
little
I'm
bit
so happy
more.
that we got to connect. Like I was so drawn to you, and as soon as like I met you and then was on your page, and I was like, this is so nice. And when you hit me about coming on the show, I'm like, yes, like let's be friends. I'm so here for it. I love your energy, I love your life and everything you represent, so I'm glad to have been able to share space with you today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you for your light. Thank you for the love.
Thank
And
you.
I will see you. So when are you moving to Portland?
So my official move is in August.
Oh,
So
perfect.
I
Well,
have
then we're
a
going.
New York summer. Yep, I
Yes.
have a New York summer, and then as soon as it ends, I'm out.
I'll be in New York. So I will be in New York, specifically Brooklyn in July. So I will
Look
see
at God.
you there.
You
All
there.
right. Thank you so much, friend.
Thank you. This
And
was an honor.
you guys already know where you can find her everywhere. Hey, friend. Hey.
Right. Hey, friend. Hey, on everything.
Yes. Put that on everything. Thank you so much. And thank you guys so
Thank
much for listening.
you.